Assalamu alaikum students, welcome to my YouTube channel English Linglitt. In this video, I will totally talk about the age of revival. In my previous video, I have divided the Middle English period into three parts. The first part was the time period that was before the age of Chaucer. The middle part was the age of Chaucer, and the last part was after the age of Chaucer, that is called the age of revival. So this video will be totally on the topic of the age of revival. In this video, I will be talking about the historical background and then the literary characteristics of the period. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit the bell icon and do subscribe to it. Let's begin. First of all, let's have a look to the outlines of my lecture. In this video, first I will talk about the historical background of the revival age, and secondly I will be talking about the literary characteristics of the period. So the timeline for this period is roughly considered as from 1400 to 1550 AD. This period begins immediately after the death of Geoffrey Chaucer. After the death of Geoffrey Chaucer, the English literature begins to decline, and it is considered the death of English literature. So in this age of revival, the old English literature were once again grown up and was began to study. This period begins with war, social and political unrest and instability. The War of Roses were the prominent reason of this social and political unrest. The War of Roses were the series of civil wars that were fought between the royal families. So the royal families were basically two groups, and they were consist of the first one is the House of Lancaster, and the second one was the House of York. So the House of Lancaster were represented by the Red Rose, and the House of York were represented by the White Rose. So as both parties was represented by different color roses, so the war is collectively called as the War of Roses. So this war were fought between the two royal families for the sake of to get throne of England, to get the crown of England, and it is considered that this war were fought from 1455 to 1485. Resultantly, in this war, Henry Tudor, the Henry VII of Lancaster family, defeated Richard III of the House of York and get the throne of England and become the ruler. So Henry VII put everything settled. He promote education, especially he promote public education. He sent many scholars into Italy and Greece to study humanism. So the term humanism was broadly used in that era. When the scholar studied there in Italy and Greece, the humanism, so when they come back to England, they declare Oxford as the hub of study, and from that time the revival of old English literature was begun. We can also say a great renaissance in England in this period. The renaissance means the rebirth. So the rebirth of literature actually. So the English literature that was declined in the last decade was again grown up, and it was considered as the rebirth of English literature. The son of Henry VII, that is Henry VIII, later became the king of England. Henry VIII married many times for the sake of son. First, he married to Catherine of Aragon. Catherine of Aragon was actually a Catholic lady, and she gave birth a daughter that is named Mary. So Mary was the first daughter of Henry VIII. Later, Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon did not pursue their marriage, and Henry VIII disinherited his daughter Mary. Second time, he married Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was a Protestant lady, and later Again, they did not pursue their marriage. She also gives birth to a baby girl. Her name was Elizabeth, and later she was also disinherited by her father Henry VIII. For the third time, Henry VIII married to Jaysamor. Jaysamor was also a Protestant lady. She gives a birth to a son, and his name was Edward VI. Edward VI were given the crown of England at the age of 9. He was totally against the church, and he died at the age of 15 only, and after 6 years of his ruling England. So he ruled England only for 6 years. After his death, the first daughter of Henry VIII, that is Mary, became the next ruler of England in 1553. After she started ruling England, she restored Catholicism and eliminated all the Protestants from England. She ruled England for the 5 years continuously. After the death of Mary in 1558, the second daughter of Henry VIII, that is Elizabeth, became the Queen of England, and this is considered as the start of Golden Age of England. This period was calm, peaceful, and people were happy in this period. Both Protestant and Catholics are allowed by Elizabeth to live peacefully in England. In 1558, when Elizabeth started ruling England, that was the start of Elizabethan age in English literature, and this is the end of Middle English period. We can also call it the end of Revival age, and with the end of Revival age, it is considered as the end of Middle English period. So that was all about the historical background of the Revival age. Let's have a look into the literary characteristics of this period. The first thing that happened literally in this period was the Reformation movement. The Reformation movement was actually a religious movement that was started by Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a German monk, and his followers were called Protestant. Martin Luther was actually against the ill practices and corruption of church. He wants people to read and study the Bible instead blindly following the priest and church orders. So he wants to educate the people. He wants to arouse the people for the sake to learn their Bible. The second feature of this period was the Switzerland movement. Switzerland movement was again considered as the Reformation movement. It was initiated by John Calvin. He was a Protestant, and his followers were also called Calvinist. So another important event that would happen in this period was the invention of printing press. In 1465, William Caston invented printer, and he printed all the previous work, including the work of Chaucer. With the printing, with the publication of literary work, made it easy for the people to approach to the literary work and to read and understand it well. Moreover, with the printing press, newspaper, magazine, pamphlets, books, all these things are available to the market, or these things are available to the coffee shops and markets, and people get it in an easy way, and people start learning it. Again in 1450, Johannes Gutenberg translated the first Bible. Again in 1450, Johannes Gutenberg printed the first Bible, and that is called Gutenberg Bible. In 1525, William Tyndale translated Hebrew and Greek Bible text into English, and this is called Bible translation into English. Although his work were incomplete, later Miles Coverdale completed the translation in 1535, then printed it in English. Miles Coverdale is considered as the first printer of a Bible in English in 1355. If you're looking into the drama category, so drama was growing up in this period. and it is considered as a preparation for the Elizabethan age. So the drama in this period were divided into three parts. The first part was called the mystery plays. The mystery plays were based on the biblical stories. The second was the miracle plays. The miracle plays were based on the life of saints. And the third was the morality plays, that was based on the practices of goodness and to promote virtues. The drama in that period were used to enhance and highlight the political, religious, and social issues, and to make them highlight and to resolve them. If you're talking about the poetry, so the declination in poetry were seen in this period. John Skelton, John Linglitt, Stephen Hawes were the prominent poet, although there is not much work done in the poetry, but they are considered as the figures of poetry in this period. Coming to the prose in this period were on the way to develop, and this is because the English Reformation was on the way to develop on that day, as there was a rebirth of English literature. So again, the prose was also going to grown up in this period. Erasmus, Thomas More, these two are the famous prominent prose writer. So we can say that this period laid down the foundation for the Elizabethan age, and here ends with the age of revival. So that was all about the age of revival. I hope you all guys will understand it well, and I hope too that you have enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much.